I'm tired. I've been cutting wood all morning. Hey, it's Philippa from PSP North Bay. Here I'm going to talk to you today about how to cut wood. Now, we might not all need to cut wood in our day or in our year, but I do have a wood fireplace in our house, so we do heat our house on wood. So we do cut wood quite often, as you can see in the pile behind me. Just needs a little bit of extra work. But if you don't cut wood very often, or have a property like my own and you have a little bit of extra time and you want to get a good workout in, cutting wood is actually a really good cardio workout. It's a full body movement, similar to a sledgehammer when you hit a sledgehammer. So a lot of firefighters will use sledgehammers to do some exercises. So this is kind of similar to that. So if you do have a demand for entry into buildings or just want to work on that body a little bit, cutting wood might be your way to do it. So first things first, you need a good axe. Okay, good axe means that it's sharp as well. A good way to tell is usually on your first chop, that you do really safely, of course. If you get a bounce, you are not sharp enough. If you don't get a bounce, you're good, okay? Other thing to note is whenever you're taking on a piece of wood to cut, make sure you're avoiding the knots in the wood. I was laughing because I did grab a little bit of a knotty piece here. It's so knotty. But you can see that the knots are actually branches that are growing out of it. So if you get a big enough knot, it actually changes the dimensions of what you're cutting. So if you see here, this actually looks like a mushroom upside down. But that's actually what it ended up cutting with, because in the body of this one is quite a large knot from all these roots coming together. Okay, other things to note is you should always cut along the grain of the wood. So I've got another little example here. You can see that the grain of the wood is going this way, so I'd have to cut with the axe going this way, and that just means that it's going to split really easily for us. Other than that, make sure that you're following your doctor's recommendations if you are starting out on exercise. If you're not sure if that is you and you have any risk, just check out the links that's with this post. You will see that within those links I have a little assessment to determine if you need to go seek further attention or further permissions to do any new exercise. All right, let's get started. Okay, to start cutting wood, we want to make sure that our feet are hip width apart. So we have a nice wide stance there. Our movement is generated through the hips, so we keep the core nice and tight, and we start with a similar hip hinge movement as we drive our force down. We bend through the knees to make sure that we're driving as much force down into that wood as possible, making sure the back stays as straight and as flat as possible. Consistency is key. So that's very important. And last, if you can get through 4 pieces of wood like I just did, you win. Now it's really important to make sure that you know where you're aiming whenever you're cutting wood, making sure that those feet are still staggered or apart to make sure if you did swing and miss, it's going through the legs there, making sure that we're not grabbing too big of a piece of wood as I do in this scene. Just to show you an example, it's too big for the axe, I need to get something bigger here, or I needed to get somebody else that's a bit bigger to help me out with this piece of wood. The other thing to note is you always want to make sure that you're using a seasoned piece of wood. This is obviously not a very seasoned piece of wood. A seasoned piece of wood would slice really easily in half as I cut through it. So, thanks everyone for joining in today. If you have any questions or comments, always leave it with our post and we'll get back to you right away.